What's up, YouTube friends? Now I have a problem here at the house that maybe you can help me shed a little light onto. What is it with mothers and hoarding weird things? If it's not frozen bananas in every single freezer in our house, it's plastic grocery bags. You don't believe me? I'll show you. Now here's in the laundry room. Right over there is my sewing room. Now this is completely full with plastic bags, and you would think that'd be enough, but no. Now this is under Mother's sink in her bathroom. Another bag full. Another bag full. More bags. And a bag of empty pill bottles. It might be time to take her out to pasture. And if you thought inside was bad, it gets worse. So today, I'm going to show you how fast and easy it is to whip up this plastic bag dispenser. Hopefully, it'll declutter some of those plastic bags out of our house and help with Mother's hoarding addiction. I'll show you how fast and easy it is to whip up next. The things you're going to need for this plastic bag holder are a piece of fabric of your choice that measures 20 inches by 25 inches, a strip of fabric that measures 4 inches by 12 inches, and this is going to be the strap on top of our bag that we can hang it from. And you're also going to need a piece of 1/4 inch elastic that measures 9 inches long. You're also going to need your iron and ironing board and sewing machine with matching thread. Today I'll just be using cream. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is a little bit of pressing. So first I'm going to take my strip. I'm going to fold it in half the long ways with the right sides together and press. So now just set this off to the side and grab your body piece of fabric. Now on the side that measures 20 inches, I'm going to fold this over a 1/2 inch and I'm just going to eyeball it and press. Next, I'm going to fold it over 1 inch. This time I will use my seam gauge. Right about there. And press. Now just so this stays, I'm just going to throw a couple clips. You could just use your pins. And then I'm going to flip it around to the other side and do the exact same thing. So now I'm going to take my strap over to my sewing machine and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, I'm going to backstitch at the beginning. I'm going to sew down the one long side and then across the bottom and backstitch. You want to make sure that you leave an opening here at the top. See you at the sewing machine. Alright, so today I'll be using a straight stitch. My length is a 2.5. I'm going to backstitch in the beginning here. And just keep sewing. When I get a 1/4 inch away from the bottom, I'm going to stop with my needle down, raise my presser foot and spin. And then continue to sew, backstitching at the end. Alright guys, so it should look like that. So now with my fabric scissors, I'm just going to clip the corners. And even a little bit up here at the top. Now you just want to turn this right side out. So I'm just going to grab my chopstick It kind of helps to push your fabric in a little bit. I'm going to stick my chopstick right there. And just that easy, it's turned right side out. So now I'm just going to poke out my corners. And then make sure that my seam is nice and flat. Next, I'm just going to give it a press. So then you just want to fold in our opening about 1/4 inch. Just like that. I'm going to give it a light press. And then with the 1/8 inch seam allowance, I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and the end and just sew that closed. Now if you want to, you could go ahead and top stitch down the sides and even across this bottom part, but we're really not going to see this top stitching when we're done, so I'm not going to worry about it. So just set that off to the side for a minute. And now we're going to grab our body piece. Now this time we're going to take this over to our sewing machine, and with the 1/8 inch seam allowance, starting with our first fold here, I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and sew all the way down, backstitching at the end. I'm going to do that to both sides. Alright, so this time I'm using an 1/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm just coming an 1/8 inch in from our first fold. So you want to backstitch and just sew down this entire side, backstitching at the end. Now I'm just going to flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. Alright guys, so I sewed with my 1/8 inch seam allowance on both of the 20 inch sides. So now you just want to grab your piece of elastic and a safety pin. So I'm going to put one end of my elastic on the safety pin, and I'm going to thread it through one of our little casings here. It doesn't matter which one. Now before you pull your elastic all the way through, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew this little part right here. I'm going to backstitch at the beginning and the end, and I'm just going to stop right where our thread is. That's just going to keep our elastic in place. Alright guys, so this time I'll just be using 1/8 inch seam allowance again. I'm going to backstitch at the beginning, and I'm going to sew right up to this seam line. And just to make sure this is nice and secure, I'm going to backstitch all the way back. I'm going to go forward again and then backstitch. Alright guys, so I have that one end of my elastic sewed down. My other end with the safety pin is still in my casing. So now I'm just going to draw it all the way out to the other side. And now I'm going to do the same thing with this side, with just a little bit of my elastic showing. You could stick a pin in there just to keep it from moving. I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and just sew right across that little area, backstitching at the beginning and the end. Next, on the end that doesn't have our elastic, I'm going to measure down 5 inches from the side, which is right here, and make a mark with some chalk. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Next, you just want to take your strap piece, and I'm just going to line it up with our edge right here and center it over that first chalk mark and stick a pin. Next, I'm going to twist my strap, making sure there's not a kink in there, and I'm going to line it up on the other chalk mark and stick another pin. Next, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew the strap on using a rectangle. And after I'm done with the rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew an X in the middle just to make sure this is nice and secure. And I'm going to do that to both ends of my strap. I'll see you over at the sewing machine. Alright guys, so I'm going to start about an 1/8 inch in on my strap and an 1/8 inch in from the top of our bag holder. And I'm going to backstitch. And then I'm just going to continue to sew until I'm an 1/8 inch away from the end of our strap. You're going to stop with your needle down, raise your presser foot, and sew. Raise your presser foot, spin, and sew. And now I'm going to sew right up to the beginning, and I'm going to stop with my needle down. Now I'm going to raise my presser foot again, and I'm going to spin. This time I'm going to sew diagonally across to the opposite corner. Stop with your needle down. So now I'm going to travel stitch on the thread. Stopping with my needle down on the corner. Now on this final corner, I'm going to backstitch. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other strap. Alright guys, so here's my strap, and here's what it looks like in the front. And of course, if you use matching thread, you won't even see that. So now we just want to fold this in half the long way with our right sides touching. Now the top here should be pretty easy, so I'm just going to line it up and stick a pin. Now on our bottom end with our elastic, you might have to kind of finagle it a little bit. So what I'm doing is just pulling my elastic so that my fabric is straight. I'm going to line them up as best I can and throw some pins. And just to make sure nothing slips when I'm sewing, I'll throw a couple more pins along the side here. So now I'm just going to take this back over to my sewing machine, and I like to start at the top. I'm going to backstitch and sew all the way down, backstitching at the end. Alright, so this time I'm switching back to the 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to backstitch in the beginning and just keep sewing. Alright, so I'm coming up to my end, so don't forget to backstitch. Now we just want to finish off this raw edge and we're done. Now there's a couple different ways that you could do this. You could just take your pinking shears and pink that edge. That'll keep it from fraying. You could also take this over to your sewing machine, and using a zigzag stitch, you're going to want to zig on your fabric and zag off the edge. That way it'll encase that raw edge. But I'm just going to use my serger. I already have it out. I've been using it earlier today. So I'm just going to go ahead and serge that edge. It'll give it a nice professional look. So now just turn it right side out. Fill it with plastic bags. Now this one will hold a lot of plastic bags, and all you gotta do is pull them out from the bottom. Now one thing I'll have to teach Mother how to do is, instead of putting 7 bags into one of these plastic bags and shoving it in here, that she needs to stuff this individually. It really puts a bee in my bonnet when I go to grab one bag and 7 come with it. Now this will hold quite a few plastic bags, and in our house we use these for little trash can liners, and I also like to use them for doggy droppings when I'm walking my puppy. Well, I hope you give this quick and very easy project a try. If you like this video and want to see more of my videos, go down below and hit the big red subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up. If you'd like to be notified as to when I post a video, hit that bell notification button. If you have a question about this video or any of my other videos, or just like to leave a suggestion for a future upcoming video, leave me a comment. Head on over to Patreon at Scrappy's Patch if you'd like to support this channel. For as little as $1 a month, we'll keep these videos coming. Friend me over on Facebook and Twitter at Scrappy's Patch if you'd like to share crafting ideas and pictures. Feel free to share this video across your social medias. And as always, thanks for watching. Happy decluttering, and I'll see you next time.